of Elohim, the commandments of Elohim, null and void, meaning that you have so defiled them with your own precepts and your selfish ideals, because you want to lord over them. See, when you put your own into the word, then you can be judge over your own. But when you take the word of Elohim purely, the word that is given to us from Elohim, he is the only one that can judge his word. So you see, the intent of these carnal men in putting their own and admixturing the word with their ideals is that they might have a rulership and dominion over you and to control you and to keep you within a appearance of religion that brings a claim to them. You see, the word holy is from the Hebrew kadosh. It means to set oneself apart, to make sacred, to make pure and undefiled, to sanctify. See? Now we must understand, what are we setting ourselves apart for? What are we purifying? What is it that must be made holy, pure, undefiled in us? Is it the way we dress? No, that's foolishness. Is it the way we eat? No, that's foolishness. Well, let's see what the instruction of the word teaches us in 1 Peter 3:15. Peter identifies what must be purified. Peter identifies what must be made holy. He says, but sanctify, kadosh, make holy, purify, Yahuwah Elohim in your heart. Not the United States Constitution, not the supremacist values of this country, but Yahuwah Elohim in your heart. So we must see here that it is the heart of man that must be made holy, or separate, set apart. The heart. And in the biblical use of the word, lib, cardio in the Greek, the word is the causative of existence. That's what it signifies. In man, or the ontological vessel, that is the human nature. You see, the nature or heart of man was created to be a receptive vessel of the divine nature. Kepha, Peter, pinpoints this clearly in 2 Peter 1:4. And I say that it says that you may be partakers of divine nature. See? In 1:4, Peter, speaking of the promises of the covenant, it says, through these precious promises, we are made partakers of the divine nature. The nature of Yahuwah, the presence of Yahuwah, the character of Yahuwah, the causative reality of his life. See? His life is separated from the world. His life is separated from the darkness of the world. It is set apart. It is distinct. It is unique. You can't take a rights or a bylaw of the church that you've invented because of your ignorance. Take spiritual ideals and carnalize them and trap people in them. Dress like this, look like this, talk like this, eat like this, don't smoke that. Don't drink wine. Now you're holy. One thing that always disturbed me, being a person of African descent, was that any time I wore African clothes, all of a sudden I became a devil. But when I dressed up like Leave It to Beaver, then I was a righteous Christian. Oh, you're a good Christian. What kind of nonsense is that? How is it that if I put on cultural wear related to my ancestors of Africa, all of a sudden I'm a witch doctor? See, this is the thought patterns of a supremacist culture. Anything that does not conform to this pattern of culture, all of a sudden becomes Satan. See? That's the evil. Well, now you have a system of cultural colonialism. Okay? If you dress like Shaka Zulu, you're the devil. If you dress like George Washington, you're a good Christian. This is foolishness. For the people of Elohim, that holy nation will arise out of all nations, out of all cultures. You can't take your culture, your simple-minded culture, the culture of the flesh, and exalt it as a divine culture, a culture filled with fornication, divorce, homosexuality, drug abuse, human exploitation, lying, gossipers. You see, these things are allowable. It's normal. It's no big thing to the carnal mind. We're not perfect. See, that's the rationalization of the carnal mind. We're not perfect. But Kepha, Peter, he says, sanctify, make holy your heart. For who? Yahuwah Elohim. Make him holy in your heart. Make him sacred in your heart. Make him pure in your heart. Understand this. It's very important so that you don't be deceived any longer. You see, the nature or the heart of man was created, as I said, to be a receptive vessel of the divine nature, as Peter taught. Thus, when we become partakers of divine nature, this concept can only be fulfilled as we are first purified. Purified? By what means? Again, in Peter 1:22, he says, seeing you have or are purified or have purified your souls in obeying the truth by the Spirit. Not by the power of the carnal man, but by the Spirit. Now, let's ask, what is the truth? See? He said, obeying the truth. Now we have to identify where truth exists. So let us now turn to Psalms 119, 142, and 151. In Psalms 119, 142, it says emphatically, your law, your Torah, is truth. In 151, it says emphatically, all your commandments are truth. So the word truth and the Torah, the word truth and the commandments is synonymous to one another. There is no difference. Therefore, the law cannot be abolished because the law is truth. You think Yahuwah in his majesty of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is going to send forth a doctrine that will abolish his truth? Don't be foolish. Saul says what? What did Saul teach us, the apostle? Your law is holy. Your commandment is holy. Yet we want to abolish what is holy so we can do our own thing and set up our own order and exalt our own traditions, our manifest destiny of sovereignty over the human race. This is evil. And for those who don't want to preach against this evil, who don't want to stand up against this supremacist doctrine of hatred, you need to be ashamed of yourselves, you cowards. See, this is not about race. This is about an ideal of falsehood that contaminates the human heart and keeps you from sanctifying and making holy and making pure Yahuwah Elohim in your heart. Thus, holiness is not something we produce through a dress code or a diet or abstaining from social taboos, which the Surgeon General said is wrong. When the system calls it sin, it's sin. When the system said homosexuality is acceptable, all of a sudden we had a debate in the church. Is this acceptable?